Let's call the meeting to order. Almighty God, you have blessed us with memory, reason, and skill. Help us to use them wisely in service of our town government. We ask this in thy holy name, amen. We'll salute the flag. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I thank you all for coming. I did ask Harry McManus to stop over, and he's on his way to the meeting and more, so I'd like to put him on the agenda first. We had some concerns, I would call them, Harry.
Okay.
More so than questions. Let's just start out. You expect 100% participation of all this?
Yes, I do. However, it was not on the Rouse's Point agenda last night. They had many other things to discuss at the Rouse's Point agenda, and this was not there. So I will be attending the meeting, the next regular board meeting. And I spoke to the mayor, and he's in support of it, the new mayor. And I spoke to Trustee Jefferson, and he's in favor of it. And so my expectation is, yes, I did make a presentation to the Champlain Village Board. The one caveat, Larry, to that is what I talked to you on the phone about, or left you a message, I think, that Champlain will probably not be included in phase one, because, so they're going to pass the resolution that you have. There seems to be support for that, but they'll be banking their money until phase two comes in. If we get funded for phase one, I have every expectation we'll get funded for phase two, which brings it from the school down to Prospect Street. So the answer to your question is yes, but you are the first board to take action if you do so tonight.
Okay, I did, just for our satisfaction, so to speak, I checked with our insurance carrier.
Yes.
And we are insured
Yes.
for any property that we own, whether it be a park, trail, or whatever. So that's no longer a concern.
Okay.
Very little of this is in Ross's Point, if any.
Right.
Correct?
They may go from the old round table area
Yes.
to their
276.
Prospect, well, to the Prospect Hill Road on the corner where the village ends, and then it will go into the town. So there may not be an awful lot in Rouse's Point. Right.
Okay.
But that does not mean that they cannot put in labor, and they will be committed to that, and equipment to help out.
Okay. And I did have it rewritten, that is the northern tier.
Yes, we were unable to secure any properties on the old D&H as of 7:04 on Monday night.
Rutland, you mean?
Rutland, what did I say? I'm sorry, Rutland, yeah.
In-kind services, I assume that's by our highway department? more or
Right.
less. That counts towards our contribution to the
Yes,
project?
yes.
The amount of 800,000, the total project, I figured,
That's an estimate, but yes.
that is from Ross's Point, 276,
Right.
Am I correct?
Right.
It seems like a lot of money.
I was astounded, Alan and I, when we were there with Al Rasco, I think it's significantly higher than I certainly expected, and I also think it's significantly higher than it will be when we're finished. But again, if you know Al Rasco at all, he likes to give figures. He doesn't ever want to be in a position where he guesstimates low. So he did not do an he is a registered engineer. He did not do this with an official seal, as this was just something that we can use for the grant. But this does allow us, the point is, it allows us to get the maximum amount of money, $400,000, from the state of New York. That's the maximum on this grant that we can get. You would have to show $800,000 to be able to get $400,000.
Then I was reading somewhere here, Harry, about there may be a New York State Department of Transportation award on this also?
Yes.
Is that over and above?
Yes, it could reduce it could reduce the amount that the town of Champlain and the two villages have to come up with from 16% to under 10. This is what I'm hoping for, but again, you know, there's no guarantees. If we get the first grant, we'll be going, all we have to do is retool the grant and submit it again. And we also will be looking potentially for some federal monies. I just want to, if we can, I want to start with the New York State Department of Parks and Rec grant. That's the one we're going after first. And that deadline has been moved up to this summer, so we'll actually be applying earlier. I thought the initial round was October 31st, now it's in July. But the grant's almost done, so we'll be set with that.
You're doing this grant here, you're going to submit it?
It will be submit, you mean personally me? I am working on the grant. I am not a grant writer, so
Who's
I
the
have an
lead
intern.
agency, though?
Pardon me?
Who's the lead agency?
The Clinton County Planning Department will be applying, so.
Any other board member have any questions on this?
Yeah, Harry, you said phase one would be about 800,000. And I'm assuming that if we're gonna commit to phase one, we would wanna be able, you'd wanna know if there was a commitment for phase two as well. Is there any estimated cost for phase two?
No, we did not do that. It will be less, it is less in terms of miles. And so if you do an extrapolation based upon the amount of footage, it comes in at about half. So, but again, you've got terrain back there, and it is possible that some of those areas, the Development Corporation area, for example, is already paved. So if we get a portion of that parking in the back, which is where the old railroad was, then that's all we have to do is stripe it. So some of it, so it could be, I'm guessing half or better on that phase two.
And I'm assuming that maintenance expenses will be the town responsibility?
There shouldn't be much, but yes, I mean, you're not gonna do anything in the wintertime. And it's going to be, most of the two towns that I contacted, they have not had that much maintenance cost at all. Once in a while, it depends on where it is. On the side of the road, there's gonna be little or none. If you run it through a wooded area, then you've got the potential of, trees coming down, you've got a lot more. If we run it right along the Prospect Hill Road and then down 276, then obviously that will be minimal.
I guess there's a lot of unanswered questions, so to speak, because you don't know all the facts, nor anybody does, probably.
Okay.
But I guess we need to go forward if that's our desire, and at least start.
Well, the only thing I can tell you is that I am a person who has believed in all of my political career that there is no such thing as an unanswered question. And so I don't want to proceed, not necessarily tonight, but, assuming we get the grant, and then you will have to again take a vote in a commitment. This is just an initial process. At that point, there should be nothing that we don't know about this, what your responsibilities were, what's gonna happen, what the route is, the dates and so on. And there'll be other workshops. The key is, of course, to initially get the grant, and that's what we're trying to do.
Understand that. Our only concern is we don't want to go with this alone,
I understand.
okay? This is a.
Well, are you voting tonight with the caveat that if the others do not support this, you will not support it? Is that the way we're proceeding?
I think we'd find it hard to support if nobody else supported it,
Okay.
okay?
But since you're voting first,
We're first.
is it, I guess I would have, I don't sit on those boards. I can only tell you that I made presentations and personally talked to the new mayor and the most experienced trustee, who committed to voting for it. So, and their expectation was that we'd be able to find support for that, so.
If we do vote on this tonight,
Yep.
our contribution is up to $5,000, I see on this.
Right, but that can be in the next budget.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be in this
I
budget.
understand that. And we don't have a lot of extra money in this budget, for sure. But
I understand.
We can plan on that.
I understand.
I guess the only thing is, I would say if the other two villages don't go along with it, We can't probably support it, but we wanna support it, hopefully that they support it.
Okay. Well, all I can tell, what I guess I would recommend you do is, if the board looks at it in an affirmative way tonight, and then there are problems elsewhere, the grant will not be submitted until July, so we will know whether or not, but, I mean, I think it would help me to have you pass it, and then I could go to the other two boards and say the town is already supporting this, and we're looking, I'm trying to look at this as a joint project, you know, under the idea of shared services, under the, you know, the ideas that we've been trying to build in this township, which is one community for everybody. That's a concept we've been trying to build, and I really have not received any resistance from anyone on the issue yet, so.
I only got one. He's sending a complaint from somebody up above, and I think they got the same one.
Okay.
And you're not gonna have 100% of everything.
You are not.
No.
Okay, and we understand that. I guess we need to know what our obligation is
Okay.
financially and otherwise after the project is completed.
Okay.
And you pretty well answered those questions. So, it's up to the board here. I mean, I got no problem with going forward. We need to go forward if it's gonna go forward at all.
I do think, just one more thing, in terms of your seeking funding for a town park and recreation area, I do think if this gets built, that it will add to the fact that there'll be connectivity between the largest of the communities into the town of Champlain, and that will help you in terms of securing grants for that. I do think that's factual.
Certainly, if we ever know of any grants to improve that ground that we own over there, we own 6, 7, 8 acres, whatever it is. We just don't have the money. It takes a lot of money to
I know.
advance that. We certainly don't have it at this time. It's never a good time to raise taxes, but we're probably one of the few communities that don't have at least some type of recreational park to speak of. We got one in Perry's Mills, but it's very underutilized. It's not in the right place, I guess, for the majority of the people. At least this one would be accessible by place for walking to the park from Rouse's Point. Where the majority, or a lot of the people, not the majority, maybe, but a lot of the people. The will of the board here, give Harry some direction. We don't want to stifle this program if we can go forward with it, but
I'll make the motion to move forward with the project as we've discussed. I'm not sure exactly what you're looking for wording wise, but.
Well, it's a letter of support.
I got a letter of support. He gave me a draft and we put our name to it, and
That's all we
I'll-
need tonight is a
I'll
letter.
send you a copy.
Okay.
I got a copy, second copy.
And I'll second that motion.
Yeah, thank you. Basically, what it states is, Northern Tier Recreational Trail is understood to be a project that will be an asset to the town of Champlain community. Now, therefore, the town of Champlain would like to formally declare support and for the proposal recreational trail that would run from Rouse's Point along Prospect Street to Northeastern Central School and beyond. Our support extends to the project as it is to be connected between the town of Champlain, Northeastern Central School, and the surrounding villages. Our pledge of support for this project entails any in-kind services as required by the project and the town can provide within its means. Additionally, our support will include a cash contribution of $5,000 to be paid in one lump sum or spread out annually at an amount deemed appropriate by the town treasurer until the desired sum is reached. This pledge of support is dependent on the success of the project. To obtain grant monies and contributions will not be made until the time the project has been approved and carried out. Okay? That's the letter in its entirety.
Exactly.
The resolution, motion. So I do have a motion and a second. Do I have any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
I just wanted also on side of this. I thank you, Harry.
Thank you.
Keep us informed. I will send you a copy of this.
Watch your speed limit.
Yes, it's all over the place out there. Mickey, you have a gentleman that's probably waiting to be on next.
We have Mr. Scott Allen from AES. He did a draft proposal to redo our zoning here in town, or updated, I should say. And he's here to present what he has to you people, so everybody understands what we want to do here.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Supervisor, ladies and gentlemen, I brought along with me, I don't know if you have this proposal, I brought along a few extra copies. I'll present this to you if I may.
We'll share them around.
You can share them. I'm going to share this. And, at the invitation of the zoning board, I came to their last meeting to discuss, what their program is, what their goals are achieving, and we've written this proposal to, address exactly what the zoning board wants to do. Now, we don't want to rewrite this entire zoning ordinance, but the zoning ordinance has been in place for many years now, and it has undergone some revisions by adoption of local law over the years, and I've kind of set forth those revisions in the first page of the proposal. And then, understanding that the town, does not want to commit to updating its comprehensive land use plan, which is a precursor to your initial adoption of zoning. Many communities will update that comp plan at various times, and then that's generally followed by an update of the zoning ordinance. I checked with the Department of State, and they confirmed that the update of the comprehensive plan is not required by law in order to amend your zoning ordinance. And I think, the people on the zoning board, Mike and others, are familiar enough with the zoning and the town in general, so that I concur that there's not an immediate need to update your comprehensive plan in order to amend the zoning ordinance. What we've laid out in the proposal is all of the steps necessary to go through a zoning amendment process involving seeker, public hearings, town board actions, and so forth. And we've laid that out in the proposal. I think you'll see on the second page, there's about 20 steps really that are involved. We tried to break that down and kind of use that as the basis for the time frame, which we would envision getting started in June with some committee meetings, some work, basically a working group. What we're recommending is that there be a formal zoning amendment advisory committee appointed, which could consist of one town board member, members of the zoning board. Of course, you don't want a quorum of any of these boards at the meeting, so one or two representatives from the town board, the zoning board, or perhaps the planning board. Although your planning board is primarily involved with subdivision approval, because your zoning board is in charge of, in addition to variances, they also, the zoning board here in this town also reviews special use permits, site plan review. Some towns it's different. The planning board will review special use and site plan reviews. But here, the planning board is primarily subdivision review. But still, they're governed by the basic tenets of the zoning ordinance. So, it makes sense to have a member or two from the planning board to work, on a committee, and a member or two from the public at large. So the process is transparent and so forth. So we've laid out in our proposal the steps involved. We've also set forth a schedule, of meetings of the committee, followed by, a report back to the town board. Because in terms of lead agency, it's really the town board that will be, voting on the final amendment and holding the public hearings and those types of actions. So, as I've laid it out, we could be looking at completing the process by as early as February of next year. And that's going through various workshop meetings with the committee, public hearings, referral to the Clinton County Planning Board, which is one of the necessary steps, adoption of the seeker findings, and your final adoption. As far as what we would actually be doing, your deliverables, if you will be a revised zoning ordinance in a Word document, as well as a PDF of it that we can work with your webmaster to loaded onto the town's website. So with the final zoning ordinance is available in PDF format on the website. And also, importantly, as the members of the zoning board expressed, they'd like to get the zoning map updated and into a a more legible format, and also a format that can be easily reproduced. And that would be part of our deliverable too. And we would also administer workshop meetings, public hearings, and scheduling, and so on and so forth. So that's basically what's in the proposal. And I think to go forward, I think what we would do is send an agreement to the supervisor. So tonight you could authorize the supervisor to sign the agreement, which would be based on the proposal. So, any questions?
Is it necessary, in your opinion, for our attorney to be there? Just like they're trying to
I don't
cut
think,
costs?
talk with Tom Renane about the process. He's counsel to your zoning board and your planning board. Is Tom also counsel to this board?
No.
No. Okay. I talked to Tom about it, and we don't think it's necessary to have an attorney present at those meetings. At some point, the final draft should be reviewed, by the zoning attorney, I would say, at a minimum. But in other towns that we work with, the legal counsel's job is to basically review the final documents and that kind of thing. But I don't see the need to have pay the expense of having the attorney attend.
Okay. Bruce, Jay, any thoughts?
Well, you should be aware that this company has offered to do this work at almost half the cost
Right.
of the last
The other
proposal.
vendor, yep.
And it seems to meet all our
We
criteria.
don't want him to know that.
Well, we're local, we're right here, we're looking for it. And,
Yeah.
I've been presenting projects before the zoning board and the planning board up here for the last 25 years or so. I think we have a leg up in terms of the understanding of, what the expected outcome is out of this. And, we're not traveling long distances.
I take it we need a motion to approve signing a contract.
I'd like to make the motion to authorize the supervisor to sign the agreement for AES to provide the contract services listed in this pamphlet.
Is there, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Is there a fee payment schedule, like how we pay and quarterly payments or monthly or?
Yeah, well, typically what we do is we invoice monthly based on a percentage of completion of the work. That's generally what we do for most municipal work.
So if we get a bill for a third, we know you're a third done.
Basically, yeah, yeah. I mean, if you look at that proposal carefully, you'll see the timeline that's presented in there. And, I think it's going to be pretty well spread out throughout that period between now and February.
That's fair.
Yeah, we have budgeted for this, so
Yes.
that's not a concern, we just wonder how we pay. Anyways, I have a motion and a second. Is there any other questions?
Yeah, I want to ask you.
Go ahead. There's no one, go ahead.
Scott, I didn't read the proposal, but there's gonna be several changes. Each change, is there gonna be a separate public hearing, or how exactly are you gonna do that?
No, the way we envision this process working is the committee will meet, I think we've allotted at least 3 meetings of the committee before we put the final draft, or the first draft, I should say, before we put the first draft together, okay? Then that first draft will be vetted by the full zoning board, the full planning board, and then it would come to the town board. And I believe we scheduled in there too, at least one public informational meeting, not a public hearing, but an informational meeting where the first draft is presented to the public. The public is invited to come, and the first draft will be presented. And as I say in the proposal, in that first draft, you'll be able to distinguish between the existing language of the zoning ordinance versus the changes. Any existing language that's going to be stricken, you've probably seen this in various bills and so forth. The text is stricken, and the new text is emboldened, so you'll be able to see what language is changing in that first draft.
So each change though, does there have to be a local law?
No, there's
So,
one, there's
just
gonna be one local law, toward February, where the final revised zoning ordinance would be adopted under one local law.
Okay.
Yeah,
Hey, you got a question?
this is overlapping into next year, how's that gonna affect the funding?
We budgeted.
Yeah.
We have budgeted money in this year's budget.
Right.
So we'll, whatever his bills are, we'll pay him this year, that portion of it. And we carry that money over in the fund balance to next year, so that's not a problem. I don't see that as a problem. Yes, Bruce?
There's gonna be a need to appoint someone to serve in this committee from the planning, from the zoning, from the town board. Mr. Boyer has agreed to be the liaison between the zoning board and this committee.
Well, I'm looking at two guys right now, I think they should be definitely.
Oh, yeah.
Well, as chairman, I should be there, not
Yes.
every night, but every meeting.
Are you vice chair, aren't you, Dick?
It takes care of the zoning board.
And I will talk to the town board, if I get a representative, and I will talk to the planning board. And, I believe, is Bruce West still our community,
Because he was supposed to be here, and I don't know if he's out of town or not, but he didn't answer my email.
well, I
But he
said,
was notified.
I will talk to Bruce, and hopefully that he'll want to stay on that committee as a community, a lot of valuable experience here from the past. And we don't want to give that up either, you know. But I will be talking to Bruce West and, somebody on the planning board and town board. Soon, I'll do all that relatively soon. Any other questions, anybody on the zoning? Okay, I have a motion, and we voted on it. It's all done, okay.
You didn't do roll
We didn't
call.
have a-
Oh, we didn't do roll?
Roll call.
Okay. John?
Aye.
Dennis? Steve?
Aye.
Richard?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Hey, I
Thank you
like
very much
this.
for adjusting your
The
schedule.
wheels are actually moving here, fellas. Did you
Thank you
feel
very
that?
much.
There.
Did you
We've
feel
been
that?
struggling with this for a few years.
It's not hard to spend money.
We're gonna get it done.
Yeah, but how long have you been talking about this, Bruce?
4 years at least,
Yeah.
because it was way before the last chairman.
Mhm.
The wheels of government move very slowly.
Thank you.
But they do move.
Thank
Yeah, thanks for adjusting your schedule.
That's not a problem.
Thank you.
Does anyone else in the audience have any opinions or concerns they'd like to share with us? Yes.
Oh, my name is Sam Champlain. I
Yeah.
have Wooden Place and Show Farm over on the Hayford Road,
Yeah.
474. And I've talked to Highway Superintendent 2-3 times on getting my ditch fixed up in the front, so the water can drain and I can keep it mowed. I want to try and keep a nice place, and so I haven't heard back from nobody. I've been there 3 years, September, and I'd like to see if I can get something done about it.
Okay. Alan, are you aware of the?
Yeah, I know his problem.
And I got the property from Bruce next door, from that culvert.
Just to bring it down and level it off.
Yep, just level it
So you
off
can mow it.
and round off the ditch. I'll seed it and do whatever I can. I mean, it's
Yeah,
not
I
an
can handle
urgent
that.
thing, but I just don't wanna keep letting it drag and
Yeah.
wanna keep it looking nice.
Okay, and then Alan's call whenever you
Yeah,
want. Or you
I
can
mean, I'll let it
start.
dry up and I'll get it.
Yeah, no.
I'm sure a lot of ditches are still pretty wet, I'm sure.
Well, after today, for sure, yeah. But, no, that's all. I just wanna stay on top of it. I just don't wanna keep letting it drag and drag and drag and don't get it done. I
What is
wanna,
that, Alan, a day or two of work or something?
No,
no, half a day.
half a day.
Oh, okay.
But I just wanna.
I was aware of it last year. You mentioned it to me, and one thing led to another. We got busy and then it started to rain and you don't wanna go in there when it's wet.
But that's it for me. Thanks for your time, fellas.
Not a problem.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Yes, hi, my name is Christine McMillan. I'm speaking on behalf of my husband, and some neighbors are here with me as well. We were actually suggested that we come to ask for your help by the state police. We have a neighbor, we have an issue with a neighbor that, where the state police and the fire department has had to be called in several times over the course of the last year and a half. And the most recent incident, which was probably 3 weeks ago, the state police advised us that there was nothing they could do for the noise, they call the fire department for the fires. But as far as the noise, the squealing of the trucks and the four-wheelers up and down the road, in the yards, the loud music till late into the morning, there was nothing they could do because there is no noise ordinance that we would have to take that up with the town. So that's why we're here asking for your suggestion, your help. What's the best way to handle this, since the state really, according to them, has no jurisdiction, quote unquote. They could come and ask them to turn the music and the noise and the squealing down, but they could be told to pound salt and there's nothing they can do about it. That's what we were told, even though we expressed that we're right on a curve. It's very dangerous.
4 accidents in my front yard.
Yes, she's had her vehicles vandalized, and we're kind of at wit's end. We're really throwing ourselves out to you, saying, is there anything that can be done to help us?
What's in your zoning, Jay?
Nothing was on it for noise.
You have no
Really?
noise ordinance in the town? No.
Really?
No.
How, the fires, the recreational fires?
I actually went up, the last summer, they were called several times. The DEC was even called in. They were issued warrants. This past time, they were actually arrested because they drove their vehicles across their driveway, would not let the fire department down. It's gotten very terrible. I actually was so upset this last time because I tried to make the polite phone calls. I tried to do everything with them. I got dressed at probably 11:30 one night out of bed and was going across the road to speak to them, but then there were 8 or 10 of them in a group and they were all drinking and fighting at the end of the lot, and that's when I saw the flames that were coming over the top of the trailer. We called the state police. That's when we were told there's nothing we can do. Later on, the next day is when I was talking to Lisa, and she said, "Did you hear the ruckus last night?" And apparently, she had gotten up to do the same thing. She then called the police herself, not knowing that we had both gone through this. It's just frustrating. We're worried. We're scared. We live right on a curve. We live on the Ridge Road.
I know you are.
And it's very scary.
People across the street, no?
Yes.
Well, I think now that we've got the zoning board, is that something that you gentlemen can look into? And if nothing, maybe we could put something on the books? I mean, I don't think we're looking for anything that, takes a rocket science. Just basically, what is a town allowed to do if, like, you gotta cut the noise at 12 o'clock. All right, anything after that, then, law enforcement
I
or
mean,
whatever.
the state police,
Courtesy.
the
Right.
state police came out, but as soon as they were gone, the music went up even louder, and then the vehicles started again with the squealing around in the roads and on the yards. And
They should be able to do something about that, though.
They
They
can't,
told
If
us
they
it was a
don't
civil
catch 'em,
matter,
they don't
we
catch
can't
'em.
see it.
they don't catch them on the roadway.
Exactly.
They have to catch them on the roadway
Right.
They
itself.
told me that,
in
they
order to
told
do
her that,
anything.
yep, and then she called back the next day and we had a joint call with them, and they told them the same thing, that unless they catch them, it's a civil matter.
I even asked about a nuisance law. I said, well, there's gotta be something where it's considered a nuisance for the state troopers to keep. And they said that we'd have to call like maybe 5 or 6 times in one night in order for them to do anything with a
Yes,
nuisance.
because they said that.
Then you'd be the nuisance to them.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
because the budget constraints or whatever it was, that they only have one car in the town of Shazy after 11 o'clock? Or after 7
7
o'clock at
till
night,
7
from 7
a.m.
till 7. They only have one car, so there's no guarantee they can even have anybody come out.
Well, you baffle me. I
Well,
know
that's-
recreational fires are allowed, if I'm correct, Vicki.
If they're gonna
But
be
there's a
3x4
size,
and
right?
contained, yes,
Right.
which they did based on the arrests they had from last year. They built a specific pit, but there was also a no burn ordinance at the time.
Can we have a recreational fire from March 15th to May 15th?
I don't know.
According to the fire department, they have rules on that. And the fire department says it cannot be over 4 feet high, nor can it be over 4 feet wide.
Yeah.
That's what because when they came out, I was basically burning some skids in the back of my yard, and they made me put it out. Because, in which I understood, no hassle, whatever. But their ordinance, or the fire department is that you know, 4 high, 4 wide, because they've been called out on a fire on that lot once before.
Well,
So
last
they
year they were
know.
burning shingles,
Yeah.
they decided
I
to
do
burn
know
those.
that recreational fires are allowed.
Right.
I'm not sure they're allowed on the statewide.
No, they're not, because someone in Perrysville just got a ticket
I
for
think when the
recreational
state
fireworks.
bans it, it's banned.
It's banned,
Right.
yes, there's no fires.
Because there was a ban at that time, we had, because of the dryness.
Until the 15th of May.
Right.
3 weeks ago.
Was this within the past month or so?
Yeah, it was about, it was the last, no burn, rule that there was, it was about 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
It was after the last town.
March 15th or May 15th, am I correct, making that?
Yes.
Okay.
We're not really worried about the fires, we're worried about the noise.
Yeah.
It went to where they came out, the cops came out, the cops left, and there's nothing that they could do about it other than tell them they had to turn it down, but that doesn't mean they have to do it. And then the cops came back out with the fire department, and because she wouldn't let the fire department in, they arrested her on the spot for,
Obstruction.
yeah. And then they brought her to the jail. When they brought her back home, she was twice as mad. So she
Yes.
went back out in her yard and spun up the whole yard out into the road, spun up the road, parked 2 vehicles in their front yard with their, radios blaring until 3:30 in the morning. And partying in the front yard instead of the backyard.
Is it noise ordinance something we can take a look at making his own one?
You can look at a noise ordinance, but you wanna check to see if the state police are gonna enforce it, because that's a town law, not a state
It
law.
has to be
Well,
enforced
why
by
wouldn't
the
they
town.
enforce
By the
Right.
town, we were told that it had to be
I've
the
been
town.
told
have a town
in the
police.
different, like the village of Champlain had different ordinances, and the state police told them that they were village laws, that they wouldn't enforce them. You've
No.
been involved in Rouse's Point, will they write tickets on village law?
No.
No.
I didn't think so.
State
The
police
town
don't
would have to-
enforce village
Now,
law.
the sheriff department may, because we had an incident here with a dog, and the sheriff used our town law to cite the person, whatever it was, on the dog violation.
So what you're saying is we need to get a hold of the sheriff, not the state.
If we had a noise ordinance in the town, short of that, I mean, unless they wanna, arrest them for disturbing the peace, like John says, or something like that,
But they
I
can't do
don't
that for
know.
disturbing the peace.
Unless the town has something on the
There
books.
has to be an ordinance in order.
Not for noise, no.
No.
Oh, that was certainly overlooked then, 20 years ago or whenever.
I mean, we can check into all these different things, but
We definitely
I'm
need-
pretty sure the state police won't
They won't
write tickets.
enforce it, it's gonna be up to the town to enforce it.
We have no law enforcement
Right.
agency.
But no, they understand that, but what they're saying is, like, if you send out a warning to the people, like if you get a complaint, you can send out a written warning stating that you're under, then you can pursue it with the state troopers. Because it's an ordinance that you've taken up.
I'd have to check into that, I don't know. I'll ask, every once in a while I see a sheriff's deputy, somebody walk in here, I can ask them that question.
Well, that's why we're
So
here,
how do you
to
get
see
hold
what
of
help we can get on this.
Yeah,
And pick a good
sympathize
night,
with you.
as long as they're gonna rewrite your zoning.
Yeah, but this would be a town law, not a zoning.
Oh, okay.
It's not zoning law, it's a town.
But would it have to be written into the
Town code.
town code as
So
part of
we-
the zoning?
different
Now,
things
let me
come up
ask
over
this,
time.
is there other towns that have this? Do we know that? I mean,
Plattsburgh does, I know that.
Some do, yeah.
okay, is there something that we can look in through Plattsburgh and find out?
This is what we would do, is we'd probably look, see who has them, what they have, and then talk to the attorneys. And some of these things were written, old laws tend to be very,
Blue laws.
very hard to enforce because of the way they're written.
Right, the old blue laws, we
Yeah,
call them,
so you have to look at something more recent and, see what the success rate is and how enforceable it is. Because,
Well, I think mostly what we're looking at is if it's excessive, all right? There's a certain time that everybody wants to go to bed. Like, I wouldn't be anybody to say that, after 12 o'clock, that if it isn't cut down, then we have a law that says we can now do something.
The village of Champlain has one that's from no noise before 7 AM, no noise after 10 AM, or 10 PM, other than normal,
Right.
living noises.
I mean, what we have is not normal. I mean, what we had that night was not normal, and,
I heard about it.
Yeah, and I'm just, from a personal standpoint, I'm really honestly, I'm begging that something be done, both
We have kids and stuff, and we
Yeah.
for
don't,
myself. I have a health issue that where I need to sleep.
You should throw a party on your side of the road when they don't have one.
Well, we-
Oh,
but
that- when I
this
have
shouldn't
one
be an
of those
issue where we
days.
have to do that,
We
you
do
know what I
have
mean?
get-togethers, but we're always very,
Respectful of our neighbors.
Right, and there's an elderly couple that lives right next door, and they're
Yeah.
afraid of them. They won't, they're afraid, the lady is very sickly. He can't leave, her to do anything.
People have to get up and go to work the next day.
No, they don't work.
No. Our state
You can
takes
call
care
a
of
few
them.
areas
Yes.
and see what they
They
have.
don't
Yeah.
I know it's about this point.
I see Steve every once in a while, and I'll try to keep you informed, Steve.
Sure.
I'll have to make you check around with other towns, and maybe it's a good time to, take a real close look at it.
I think if it happens to you some night,
You don't,
will
it would
understand
happen.
He does,
I
I
mean,
believe he understands.
I'm not saying that
I
you
totally
don't,
understand. I
but-
just thank God for my neighbors. I
right,
good
and we
sense.
all say the same thing, I
Okay.
mean,
It only takes one to spoil.
I know, that's
Apparently
my
they got
only
some friends
concern
there.
is
There's a big crowd
that,
there.
because of one group of people, we've gotta look at an ordinance
But it's-
to be applied to everyone.
yeah.
But it's something that, if you look around the town of Champlain or even the village, it's ongoing all over. We're just the people that are gonna come in and complain about it, but it's ongoing throughout the town. You hear a lot more people complaining than actually come in.
But I guess basically it's up to you, I mean, it's,
It's not like it's once a year graduation party or something, it's.
right.
A weekend thing during the summer.
They've been quiet the last few weeks because I think she knows she's being watched.
If she's got cable TV, she's probably watching this.
And could very well be,
But we had
Well, I can go over and give her the videotape if you haven't done, I mean,
But we had a car vandalized after.
yes.
But the
What are
cops
the
were called
troopers-
out, and it
what are
wasn't
the
even me
troopers
that
say
called the
about that?
The troopers
troopers.
couldn't see it.
They destroyed
They
total
didn't say
the
who
car.
did it. They knew who did it based on the writing and the painting that was on the vehicle, but they did not physically see
have it
them,
in
so
the
there
hand.
was nothing they could do.
Their vehicle was there, the lady seen him.
Their hands are strapped, I mean, and basically, like they said, the squealing of tires and four-wheelers, if they are not there and see it, they can't take word of mouth. I mean, they have to physically see it so they can do their job, is basically what they were saying.
I tell you, they only pull the money here once and tell me to wait down.
Well, you would think, right?
Yeah.
This, like I said,
That's
last
just
year
it, they know they can get away with it because the officers have actually told them, we can't tell you to do it, but it's something we're asking you to do.
I'd say if you don't hear from us and it happens again soon, call the cops again.
Oh, we will
That's what
let
they
them
told
know.
us, is just keep calling them as
They
often
get
as
sick
we
of you
can,
calling
and
them,
then
they're gonna
if
do
they can
something
come
about it.
out, they'll come out. If they can't,
They
they
have to know
can't.
that's a legitimate complaint.
Oh, yeah. And I think they were just protecting themselves as well as us, saying, look, this is the way it is. Give us a call if you know ahead of time. We'll get somebody there if they are available. I mean, they can't take a person off of an accident and send them out to a noise call. So, and I understand that, so it's just
Whose side are
basically
you on? I'm just
mine,
kidding.
but,
But what
I mean,
we're
I'm
asking
trying
for
to
the
get it
town-
so that I don't go across the street.
There's
because
plenty of cops
sometimes-
around, they should be there.
Well,
There's
according
not.
to them, no.
Let me tell you, there's plenty of state
There's only
police
one
around.
officer on call out of
Yep.
the Shazy Barracks
Yep.
from 7 o'clock to 7 a.m.
Yeah.
Friday
We were on
through
that
Sunday.
conversation call with the
Go
trooper.
speeding down the road and you'll find it.
Oh, I know.
Well, I'm just saying, it's gotta be up to the town to help out too, is what we're being told, so we're asking the town to help.
I'm gonna ask, I'll be talking to Mickey tomorrow.
Anything that you could do would be greatly appreciated, both, for my neighbors,
I'll
for
have Mickey
myself
call the
personally,
town
and for the
plaster
elderly
and-
people next door.
Surrounding towns and see what we
Yeah,
can
we'll
do.
see what we can come up
I
with.
appreciate that, thank you,
Give to the board here.
thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is anyone else? We have a new town board member as of last month. We appointed Dennis Roberts to fill this year's term of John Paul Petros, who he died in February, I think. And tonight, I'd like to appoint Dennis to those committees that John Paul was on. I'll get you a copy of this, Dennis, okay?
Yep.
He was on the Grants Committee, Highway Committee, the Building Committee, the Handicap Discrimination Committee, the Landfill Committee. The Landfill Committee basically is a once-a-year review of the landfill up here. We maintain it, we mow it once or twice a year, Alan, and take care of minor stuff, and we're supposed to take a look at it once a year or something, okay? And John used to do that, and Steve's also on that too, okay? And the other two is the Board of Assessment Review. The Board of Assessment Review meets once a year, I think it's this year, May 24th or 26th or something like that week anyways. Are you back by then?
Yes, I will. I'm coming back on the 21st.
It's usually an evening. You can come in and observe the people that have, that want their assessments reviewed. It's not necessarily you do that, but it
I
would be
saw it in
nice,
here somewhere.
nice to have a board representative there. And the Parks and Youth programs. So those committees I will appoint Dennis to for this year. You can have that, I'll give it back to me for you, those, okay? I need approval of the April 10th meeting minutes.
I make the motion to approve the minutes of April 10th.
I'll second that.
Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. You have your town clerk's monthly report. We've been advised early on that we should have these approved by our auditor. After review, I'd like a motion to approve.
Make a motion, we approve the town clerk's monthly report.
I'll second that motion.
Any questions on the town clerk's monthly report? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. We got a letter from our insurance carrier that they will be reappraising all properties that they insure, infant value over $50,000. And they expect this project to be completed by the end of the summer, so they will be in here reevaluating the value of our buildings this summer sometimes. That's just for information. You have your real property tax assessor's work schedule. There's extra days here, you'll probably notice. In the month of May, he's here every Friday, all day. They're normally here on Mondays, not necessarily in the office. They could be out in the field appraising properties, but they're here Mondays and Fridays. And this year, they're having an informal hearing on Saturday, May 12th. That's this coming Saturday from 1 to 5. And grievance day is on a Thursday, Dennis, May 24th, from 4 to 8 p.m. That's right in the assessor's office, if you can make that. Okay. You have your monthly dog report from the dog control officer. Superintendent of Highways, that one.
Yeah, I got a thing I'm gonna pass around here. It's gonna describe the roads that I'm gonna be paving this summer.
County monitors, countywide announcement.
I got about 2.5 miles already projected for this summer. I'm gonna start from Route 11, going up on the Creek Road, 5,730 feet. You can see where we ended off a few years ago, right before the cemetery on the Creek Road. And then I'm gonna go on the Leggett Road. I'm gonna go east. I'm gonna start from Mason's Corners. I'm gonna go all the way to the railroad track. There's 7,700 feet there. So I got it described there how many tons it's gonna take approximately. If there's any questions on that.
Are you gonna do this through the county again?
Well, I'm not sure who I'm gonna get this year. If I'm gonna go with the county or hire it done, or if I'm gonna go with another town.
Okay.
Okay.
Then I was able to get these trucks painted this spring. Found the time and patience to do it. We sandblasted the frames, boxes, got them all painted. But I also want the town board to look into, we got one truck that should be traded in, should get rid of and look into get a new one. Because it is in tough shape. I can only band-aid it so much.
That's the oldest truck, is it?
Yeah, it's a 96.
About 180,000 miles. I think.
Yeah, 188,000, and starting to show her age pretty good.
we have the money budgeted for it?
Yep, pretty close. I mean, it takes about 6 months to get a truck anyway, so.
I believe, I don't know if it was the last truck we bought or some piece of equipment we bought, I remember we paid like half in December and half out of next year's budget. And we'll have to determine what we need to do there. We always pay cash for our equipment, we never finance them, so. We'll have to look into that and, go from there. It takes, I didn't realize it took quite 6 months, but it takes.
Yeah, it takes, the average about 6 months by the time you order it.
So that'd be a
That's after the specs have been, created,
By the
right?
time you put it out for bids, and,
Yeah.
you know, it goes to the next town board meeting, and we make a decision, and you order it.
Yeah.
Would that be a 2012 or 13 now?
Yeah, I want it 2012 if possible. I don't want to jump in the other emissions another year.
Okay.
All right, I got this week, maybe tomorrow or Thursday, we're gonna be putting in about 705 feet of garbage to be put in on the Dubois Road. Piece right there by Bill Dubois around the curve. And then there's, right on the Dubois Road, on the stretch past the gas pipeline there,
Substation.
substation, there's a section there we're gonna be putting
Both sides of it.
both sides of the road, 2 different steps there. So if you see a different truck there this week, you're gonna find out that that's what they're doing for the entire.
Okay. We're not doing it ourselves, we're contracting that out.
All right, now on Stony Point, I ordered a culvert the other day. Hopefully I'm gonna be able to put that in this summer. Right now, there's 2 3-foot culverts there, and they're both rotten. The bottoms are gone right out of it. And I mean, it's holding, the sticks go up, the beavers get in there, and every so often I gotta go down, we gotta clean it out, you know. It backs up all the way to Duck Pond Road and it makes a mess. So I'm gonna put one big one, it's gonna be 4 by 6. They had the guy from the company look at it, it can be done, so as soon as the water goes down, and we get my paving done, I get caught up, that's what I'm gonna do with that.
Metal or?
Metal, yeah.
We can't get a concrete one?
A concrete one, it'd been too much money. Been different, there'd be a lot of traffic on that road and heavy, you know. You're talking big money for the concrete. You know, you're talking a crane to get in there and put that in. This right here, metal, I can handle it. They guarantee it for 25, 30 years. So.
We won't have to worry about replacing
Well, the
it.
ones that are in there now, they've been in there for a long time, so. The guy before me must have said the same thing.
It's gonna be 30 years. And we saw what they caused.
Well, we seen the mess that was in there last spring, so.
What, the beaver gene?
The beavers.
Beavers and
The chairs.
the chair that got caught in it.
Anything new on, I don't know if you're done or not yet.
No, I'm not ready.
Sean Parker's deal with the DEC?
No, I haven't heard any more about it.
Okay.
They did start today, I believe, Alan, the old head doors,
Yeah, the overhead doors in the buildings, they ran into a little snag on one door. I mean, they're putting that safety, so when the door, let's say, gets halfway down or something, if the guy was, you know, happened to run underneath it, it stops. And they ran into a little problem, that's the door that gave us all a problem last winter. So they gotta put something they didn't expect to put in, but they're gonna come back tomorrow and finish it. They got another day and a half before they get done.
and we're putting all new rollers, cables, belts, I guess you call them, Alan.
Belts, rollers, hinges.
A long time since those doors have been worked on, they needed.
Yep.
All I can think of. Okay. Julie, you got anything? Good? Okay. I need, you got your post audit bill, I need approval for the monthly bill.
I have one to read. It's from Polster Associates for $1,978.47, and it's repairs to the pump station.
I need a motion to approve the monthly bills.
I have a motion to approve the monthly bills.
With the addition.
Oh, with the addition of
Yeah.
And is everybody familiar with that addition, right? That's the guy came up with a pump station, and that's his mileage, his hours. He left us some parts. He showed us how actually to work that thing in case this never happened before.
It was the way it was set up, because the pit that's down there is about twice the size of the pit they usually put those pumps in. And of course, the level was too low in there and allowed the bottom to fill with sludge, so we had to have it pumped out. And he reset everything for us and, well, he built us on it, but there's nothing else we could do.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion by John, second by Richard to approve the monthly bill. Any questions, anyone? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Does any other board member have anything to bring before the board? I do need an executive session, discuss a personnel matter. I'd like a motion to go into executive session.
I make a motion to go into executive session to discuss personnel.
Okay. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. I thank you all for coming.
Thank you for your time.
We
Thank
appreciate-
you.
Appreciate your concern.
Keep looking out for